This is a quick walkthrough of the software that I've been working on. I don't have a formal name, but my working name right now is Work Order Insights. So it's a web delivered application and it has all the standard functionality you'd expect: login, reset password, register, all that stuff. I'm going to just go directly in. And it also has all sorts of different permission schemes built in. I happen to have an administrator view, so I can see everything, but you can very much limit by the user what they can and can't do. And it's done in a very flexible way. But just starting with what this is all about, it's all about gathering data, using it, and visualizing it to make smart decisions about bringing work orders, appointments, and crews together to complete things for a customer. The example we have here is very specific to a commercial landscaping company, but the software in general is very flexible to accommodate all manner of things that include um, pest control, commercial, residential lawn care, pool service, maybe some into the alarm industry, anything where you are bringing together a person, crew, all the tools they need, vehicles, whatever, in a window of time at a customer location to complete a certain job. That's what this is about. So it takes a lot of things that may be elements of a small business piece of software like QuickBooks, but makes it into a powerful workflow-based software to complete those items. So looking at the visualizations, I've used a lot of different things, and I still haven't done a lot of the actual polishing of the website, the design work. But the functionality and the is what's critical right now. But even here on a calendar, when you see the design, it's just a green line with text. Don't worry about the formatting, because that really hasn't been polished or tweaked yet. But just start jumping quickly to a day in a given month. We can see everything scheduled for that day in a really vivid way. We can see our different crews on each row, and then what jobs they have at different times between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. This is auto-sized, so that just happens to be that for this day, the minimum is 7 and the maximum is 4. We can move around, see what's going on the next day, immediately jump to today, nothing today, tomorrow, nothing tomorrow, but the next day after that, and just see what's going on. So the visualizations are really powerful, but at the same time, all the data is in the background to utilize in other ways. So you can jump from here immediately to the work order that's there, take a look at it. We have all sorts of different details, but going kind of back to the start, we have customers, and we can create a customer. So I'm just walk you through some of that stuff. I'm going to make a corporate non-contract customer. I'm going to call it Frank's Store. We could link it here to QuickBooks or any other systems we want. So I have Frank's Store. I have no sites, so I need to add a site. And we're just going to call, this is going to be let's use that, 756 Greenwood Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30308. Now in doing that, we can then try to get the latitude and longitude from Google. We can test, see if that's right. Looks good to me. So we'll save that. So we now, for that, we have a, where was that? Frank's Store. He happens to have the same address as Fred's Boats, but that's only because this is in test. And we can, so that's a customer and a site, and we can create a work order. So I'm going to create a new one, and let's do it for Frank's Store, promised by next Friday. And it's open, and we just need to mow, and we estimate it to be 2 hours. The estimate is an optional, and I create that. I can see right here that it is not scheduled, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it in detail. It also doesn't have any items in it, so I'm going to add a task that we need to complete, and it's mow. We can also have other things to tell. Mow the lawn. I'm also going to create a new task. and let's just put it as plant, but plant flowers. Okay, you can see now there are 2 tasks here for this work order: mow the lawn, plant flowers. And we can now assign an appointment and crew. So let's take a look, and I want to do this today just because that makes it work well for the later. We'll do an example of closing it all out, and it works okay for today. We're just going to do 12 to noon today. Create. And now we can see we come to this place where we pick our crew, and it doesn't look like any of our crews have the ability to plant. That's a task that no one has. So let's go ahead and we're going to choose lawn care number 2, realizing we're still allowed to choose them, but we have this notification that they don't have the skill that you said you needed this work order to have. So that's a powerful thing. And now we have the schedule, lawn care number 2, and the tasks. Let's just go take a real quick look at what the crews are. So if I go here in my master data, I can look at lawn care number 2 and take a look at the details, and I see we have our name, we have our foreman, we have the individual people on the crew, and then we have, okay, well, this just has a van, that's it. And then we have our abilities, and this crew has the ability to mow and spread granular, but they might need the ability to plant, because we saw they need that. But I'm updating this now, so in the future we're not going to see that little red message that says they don't have plant, because we just gave them that task ability. And I'm sure you can appreciate how this is a pretty simple example, but this could quickly be very powerful if you have, again, back to the commercial landscaping example, you have one crew that does trimming, mowing work, and you have a different crew that does irrigation installation. Those are really diverse skill sets, and you're going to make sure you want the crew that has those appropriate skills to go to do something like that. You don't send a mowing crew to install irrigation. They don't have the stuff, they may not have the skills. So this is actually what we just did. We did Frank's store. It comes up here because we're looking at today. I can click right into that work order. And now let's just jump forward and say, okay, we've completed it. So we can quick close, just get rid of it all, close everything, say it's done, or we can do the detailed close where we can ask actually what happened. So we get to see what the appointment was, when it was supposed to be, and then we're prompted to give the actual start and end. So let's just assume we actually started at noon, and then we actually finished at 2:15, 2:13 p.m. I still have to put a better selector here so you don't have to type dates. And then we have our 2 employees that were there. It was Parker and Sean. And it asks how many hours they were each there. Well, let's go 2 for Parker, and let's go just 1.75 for Sean. He had to leave early and go to a different job. But we now can track this time related to this appointment, and each appointment belongs to a work order. So we can see for a given work order how much time we are accumulating. Are we over budget, under budget? I'm going to save that. And then for the individual work order, we're asked, well, did you do each of the tasks that you were asked to do? I'm going to say, yeah, we did that task, we did that task. If I left one of these open, it would not close the work order. We'd have to either delete the task or go in and say we completed it. You can't close a work order until every individual line item is complete. I'm going to complete both and press save. And that one is done. So another example is, let me now create a multiple work order. So let's say we have a new contract for the sub shop. Promise date of the first appointment, not very important. Open and mowing, and we're going to create a recurring appointment. So now we're going to do weekly. We want to do twice per month, maximum of twice per month on Wednesdays. So that's going to give us in a year 48 visits. Let's just do 48 so we get an entire year of visits. Let's do crew number 4, and we want to, on those Wednesdays, go from 2 to 4 p.m. I'm going to create that recurring work order, and it's now in here. We can look at it here in our main work order view. It's just showing the next 2 weeks of work orders, but we could also go home and take a look at the sub shop, Cleaver Avenue, Wednesday. This one we just created. Now, when we created it, we didn't actually give it any materials or tasks, but we can do that, and we have to mow. Now, I just did that one work order, but if I say update all child work orders, it's actually going to create this task for any of the work orders that are part of this family that we created, the 48. Create, and now if I go home and I pick another Wednesday, actually let's go in the day view real quick and pick this Wednesday, and let's go to the next week, and here it is. Go to that direct work order, and we can see that mode task was added. So now when we go to close an individual work order, it prompts us just the same. When did we actually do the work? So detail close. Now this is not supposed to be until the end of the month. It says, well, we're going to assume you got there close to the actual because it's so far in the future. And I'm going to say, okay, let me just, and we finished at 3, a little early, and 1 hour for each of the guys that was on the crew. And we did our task mow. This could be 1 item, this could be 5 items, 10 items, 20 items, however you want associated with the work order. But the work order remains open until all the items are complete. So that is kind of where I'm at right now. Next steps that I'm working on are adding multiple locations so that you could say, well, I have some crews in this city and another warehouse in the suburbs, and those might be managed individually. I have email notifications that send an iCal or ICS file out to the given email that's associated with an employee or a foreman for a crew, and it's all flexible as to how that's sent, but I need to redesign what's actually sent, when it's sent, because if you schedule something today for once a week for the next 52 weeks, you don't necessarily want 52 emails going out into the calendar, and I think you probably just want to have it like once a week, send out the next week worth of appointments or so to their calendars. I do have to do a lot of restyling. The formatting, the functionality and formatting are kind of unlinked in the architecture, and I have not done a lot of formatting yet. And then finally I have, as you saw, some of the date and time field selectors need to be a little bit better than typing in. So some of them are pretty cool. You click and it lets you select on a calendar, but when it comes to time, you need something a little bit better than typing in the actual time.